Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to a mega crossover episode, if you will. We're live on the Multiverse of Color YouTube channel, DC Podcast YouTube channel, and Ben's Takes YouTube channel, because we're here to finally discuss the big Lanterns trailer that has finally arrived from HBO with maybe one of the most interesting marketing strategies of all time, because it was supposed to come out today, but apparently it leaked 2 days ago, and then suddenly we got it yesterday. So for those who don't know me, if you're on Ben channel, my name is Andy. I am the editor-in-chief of Multiverse of Color and one of the hosts of these Studios podcast. With me is this is kind of a big MOC crossover because both of these lovely men are contributors to the site. So we have Ben, host of Ben's Take, and Kyle, who is one of my co-hosts and the host of the film Realize. Gentlemen, how are we doing today?
Yeah, very good.
You look like you look like. Let me read the script. Yes, I am very happy. I'm very good.
No, I wasn't sure who was going first, so I was like,
I'm not going to interrupt the guest. I'm not going to interrupt the guest. I'm excited. This is if people are following stuff on MOC, I mentioned that Lanterns is my most anticipated season of TV for the year. To finally have footage is nice, given the 8 seconds we got, I believe, at HBO's roundup at the end of the year. So we finally got stuff to talk about because we're not getting anything until June.
Exactly. I'm fully I'm fully Green Lantern up. I'm wearing my Alan Scott ring, my bandana, and of course, Guy Gardner's ring from Superman. That I feel it kind of it's gonna be fun to talk about Guy Gardner when we get to that point of the discussion. Also, I have my lantern. So I'm like, listen, I'm ready. I'm as ready as you can get for this discussion. Are you looking around now, Kyle, to see if you have any rings?
I mean, I have my wedding ring, which is not exciting. I have a White Lantern ring somewhere, but my kids play up here sometimes, so I don't know where it is. I also couldn't find, and I was disappointed because I wanted to bring it up. I have somewhere the ring from the 2011 movie.
I have it too.
I don't know where it is, and I'm a little disappointed about it, but I'm sure we're going to be discussing the rings in the trailer. Do we just want to get into it, Andy? Is that the plan?
Yeah, let's just get into it because this is the main topic of discussion. For everyone who have seen the trailer, be sure to chime in with your thoughts in the comments, and we will bring up on screen. We will also have some references from screenshots so that if you need a reminder. But let's just start with overall takes. Ben, what were your overall takes? What kind of your first impressions of the footage?
Yeah, I thought, first thing first, I saw it when it leaked, and I was like, are they going to release it early or what? And then I checked back in like half an hour later, and of course it was there. They uploaded it, and yeah, I mean, I guess the kind of humor at the start kind of took me a bit by surprise, but then I was like, oh, I see what they're going for, and I really liked just the kind of tone of it. And I don't really mind that we don't have like a ton of them in the suits and everything like that. Like, I'm okay with that. At some point it would be great to see them fully suited up and everything as Green Lanterns, but it's kind of earthbound. He's training him, and I like, the kind of, it's kind of like a Western vibe almost in that town. So yeah, I'm a fan of it.
Kyle, how about you? What were your overall first takes on seeing it? Because I know, like you said, this has been your most I think whenever he and I talk about these use of off air, I think this show comes up way more than he talks about the movies. So, what were your takes?
I think it's relevant that there is only one superhero that is named Kyle. I mean, Ben's named Ben, and usually it doesn't go well for Ben's in comic books, unfortunately. No. But I mean, Kyle Rayner was invented in the 90s. I guess so. But he turns into a giant rock monster. So, give or take.
He's not our monster. He is our hero, just a very rocky hero.
Yes. And yes, I've been eagerly waiting to see what this was. I know watching back the announcement and True Detective got used around, and the images that were shared were from Green Lantern Earth 1, which it's really annoying. You can't get hardcovers of that right now. That's one of the only things connected to the initial announcement that is actually out of reprint, the volumes 1 and 2 of Earth 1, which is really annoying. I was dodging the leaks like Neo in the Matrix because, as Andy would know, I record my reactions to the footage,
Yeah.
that out. And so I was just waiting for it to be out officially until I could get home and sit at my desk. This is exactly what, as a longtime Green Lantern fan, I've been looking for. If you love just the concept of the Green Lantern Corps, specifically with John Stewart and Hal Jordan, knowing the dynamic of those two characters, the selling point and what's been so frustrating is we had the movie in 2011, and there was always this talks of, well, it's going to be a buddy comedy, like we're going to get to it. And for people who just love general films, it's Lethal Weapon, but you're switching the dynamics around. Murtaugh is the rookie and Riggs is the crazy mentor. And that's exactly Hal Jordan and John Stewart and Aaron Pierre and Kyle Chandler. And I know there was a little hubbub about Kyle Chandler. He sells Hal Jordan in what, 10 lines of dialogue, and a mature Hal Jordan, which is a different Hal Jordan than, say, young Hal Jordan when he gets the ring. And what's so funny to me about this trailer, and people are reacting to things that I think feel almost traumatic to kind of the Netflix Marvel stuff, where you feel like you're waiting for the character to get into their iconic costume. And I understand that discrepancy, but realizing where the DCU is, we are like Andy is wearing Guy Gardner's ring, but that to me is not really selling what the Green Lantern Corps or the Green Lanterns are. This is going to be a great story with Tom King and Damian Lindelof selling what this part of the universe is about. And then would it be shocking if we eventually get a Green Lantern Corps film with maybe Jon Stewart and a couple of the other ones? But prestige television being a DCU thing, to me, that's incredibly exciting. And the back and forth of these two phenomenal actors, I rewatched the trailer over and over because they are pitch perfect Green Lanterns.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very interesting taking in some of the reactions that's come out for this, because when the show, when the show was revealed to us, it was always described as gritty, true detective inspired, but also I think what a lot of people are also forgetting is the fact that, I think, like, again, I don't hate the Green Lantern movie as much as some people do. I actually think, like, because given some other comic book films we've seen throughout the last decade and so come out that are worse than Green Lantern. Like, I feel Green Lantern, like that film deserves a little more props than it actually gets. But I think what people also forget is, I think one of the reasons why that film didn't necessarily work as much was because this was a huge concept you're throwing into the general audience. Because at the end of the day, all three of us were comic book fans, we're superhero nerds and all that, but we represent maybe like less than 10% of the audience that goes and sees it. It's in the end the general audience that brings in the most money. So you have to find a way to sell it in a proper way to people. And so, and I think also I also think we need to like start educating people about like what the concept of a teaser trailer means. This is to tease what's to come. This is not even like, this trailer doesn't even show, I think, the whole season. I think it's mostly probably the first, if I think it's 3-4 episodes. And so for me, like, I kind of, knowing that this was kind of like the ground take they were going with, I think like, I feel like I was like, okay, I'm aware enough that I can kind of set my expectations. And again, for a teaser trailer, this, this met my expectations. Again, like, there's a lot of good banter between Hal and John, which, like, we've never gone to see it in live action. And the fact that we're going to spend time with them bonding before we get into all the cosmic galactic stuff, because that's going to be in the show later on, like, but we're easing into it. Also, shout out to Tina for the super chat for the one, the dollar, I meant pound, because he's British, if you all didn't know. The £1.99 super chat, thank you for tuning in. I think, again, like, easing into it, because again, like, we're in a DC franchise that where some of these heroes have been operating for years. Like, like this is like, again, this is, I think this is one of the reasons they really went with, one, because I think they want to make John the main Green Lantern of the DCU, but two, I think they also want to make sure, let's make this as different as we can from Ryan Reynolds' version, because again, that movie really put a scare on WB. I think of like what they want to do with Green Lantern. But like we've seen the Green Lantern can work perfectly. I mean, like Stargirl, we had Stargirl with Alan Scott's daughter. That was great, and then that was on network television budget. So like, if you can make that work, you can make anything work with this concept. So I like, again, there's a lot of mystery, and again, like they're doing what they're supposed to. They're teasing what's to come, because I don't want, like, again, because this is going to be a very integral part to what James Gunn is doing with the rest of the DCU. Like this will set up a lot of different domino effects down the line. There, like, I mean, I will read the official description we have from HBO so that people also remember. The series follows new recruit John Stewart and Lantern legend Hal Jordan, to intergalactic cop drawn into a dark Earth-based mystery as they investigate a murder in the American heartland. And when this show was initially announced, James described it as like a ancient horror. So there's going to be something we're diving into from the DC canon. So, but again, for like, yes, would have been cool to see a little more powers, more constructs. Yeah, but I'd rather see them when they're finished. Like again, and again, that could be coming in the second trailer, because again, these TV shows, especially for HBO, like they take long time to edit. Unlike Marvel Studios that likes to throw in and out their VFX people last minute. It seems like DC has a little more grip on that. So I rather see the constructs when they're actually like final and whatnot. But I'm glad we got to see things like, the ring, the lantern, and of course, like, I mean, I guess this can be our first discussion point, which is what people are. I don't think everyone hates it. I think some people realize that this is, there's a bigger aspect to this, but we get the first look at what is believed to be Hal Jordan's costume. Yes, people, we see there's brown on it. Yes. But for any motherfucker out there who is like, oh my God, where's all the green in the trailer? Like, yo, there's green right there. They're like, like, I love the fact that HBO Max people were trolling. People were like, yeah, there's green. And they even like include like a little shot of like a bowl that is green. So like, yeah, you definitely have some green. But again, even the suit has it. And as Kyle was mentioning, this, I don't want to say definitively that this show is based on the Earth One Green Lantern books, because I read them and I love them, but I think it's definitely like it's loosely inspired, where because again, like, there's, depending on what era you grew up in, there is the Silver Age, there's the Jeff Johns era of Green Lantern, and then there's DC Rebirth era of Green Lanterns, and now we're entering, from the comic aspect, we're entering Tom King's perspective on Green Lanterns, which again, he hasn't really tackled that much of them in the comics. Kyle, what? So okay, like from the comic book aspect, let's just go to like things like the suit, the lanterns, the ring, or whatever, like all the comic book aspects of this trailer. Like, if you weren't a comic book fan, if you had never read a Green Lantern comic, is this intriguing enough to kind of be like, I still want to see like what is this mythology about? Like, who are these people? What are these superheroes all about?
Well, it's so funny to me because as a non-comic book fan, I think this is a really great trailer. Like, that's the problem with people who are all so plugged in. And I had a listener who was really excited to see what our conversation was going to be on this. And like, DC specifically feels like there's been so much gatekeeping as to like, what fan are you? It's like, oh, you like this Superman. Well, you're not a real Superman fan. But it felt like this teaser, more than anything, is selling what this show is to non-comic book fans. Because again, you brought such a great point, Andy, which is, I think it's less than 10%. Like, we know, you can look all the numbers up for what comic book sales are like. They've been better in the last couple of years with the Absolute Universe and the new run of the Ultimate comic books, but the comic book industry is not what it once was. And this show is selling HBO that happens to be a DCU show. You're watching a buddy, not comedy. You're watching a mystery that happens to have 2 Green Lanterns in it, and it's about their dynamic, right? It's a mentor-mentee relationship, a wild card, and somebody who's by the book. Quite literally, pun intended, they are an odd couple. So selling what is this mystery with some extraterrestrial elements. We get one flight sequence, which people, again, I'm on the side of this with you. I don't even think the visual effects were done for this trailer, because watching Guy, he had the green aura when flying.
Yeah.
But watching this, I'm looking forward to this version of the show. I can remove myself from, there's all these comic book references. And quite frankly, I would much rather them do that. Don't get me wrong. People are going to go listen to our hour-long discussion on why I'm incredibly excited about Supergirl World Woman of Tomorrow. That's a different conversation, because that's what that movie is selling. This is the DCU's version of that. And I don't even believe it says DCU in the trailer. So it's an HBO crime drama that gets a lot of people paying attention.
It says DC Studios production, right?
Yeah.
Okay, right? But that, I think most people even still are like, is that the Batman company? Like, this is not this. They're not at the same phase yet where the irony is Marvel TV turned into what it turned into. But like that panel flashing by of all the Marvel characters and the more recent logo, I want to watch this show. And I was selling this to people because of the 2 great leads, Kyle Chandler, who people love, from Friday Night Lights to Ozarks to Hal Jordan, and then Aaron Pierre, who has just been climbing the metaphorical ladder recently. I would say
I've been with him since the Krypton days where he was, and he was awesome.
He may have stumbled with Mufasa the Lion King, but I don't blame him for that. But overall, I think it is a great teaser, because again, being a comic book fan, I don't want to know, is this Parallax? Are we going to have evil Hal Jordan? Like all that stuff. If they're just telling their own story about these 2 people, that's what I want. And something that comic books have always done well is, if I don't care about the people in the story, I don't care how nice the pictures look. I don't care how cool the movie is. And we talked about it with the other DCU stuff. When the characters have been portrayed well and are interesting and compelling, that sells the story. So this teaser's selling John and it's selling Hal. All the other stuff is kind of extra.
Not Jacob. Ben. Wow. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Jacob is one of his friends that I'm friends with. I sometimes really mix them up. I don't know, because we never really talk about.
It says Ben under his face.
Yeah.
Shut up, Kyle.
What
I was gonna say, you and I have never really talked about Green Lantern, like kind of like, in general. So like for you, like seeing this trailer as like, from like, again, because all 3 of us, we critique television and film, not just one genre, but many genres. But with this, like when you look at this as like, do you feel this is a good sell, whether you were a big Green Lantern fan before what you saw here?
I've always liked Green Lantern. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest fan. Like, I've always been looking forward to this show ever since I found out that it was a thing. I like the team that's working on it. But I kind of get both sides of people's arguments. Like, some people in the chat, like Eddie, was saying, like, my problem with the trailer is that it feels better suited to grounded heroes rather than Green Lantern. I don't know, like, I'll have to wait and see. But, like, I gotta admit, it felt a bit weird seeing, after such a grounded start to it, seeing him fly off and there be, like, no visual effects. I know it's not finished, but it just looked like a random human flying. And I was like, okay. And then, like this, he says, why should we be watching a show that happens to have a Green Lantern character who's not focused on... The thing is, though, Eddie,
it is the focus.
It is focused on them, but being Green Lantern is just something that their characters are, right? Like, they don't always have to be using their rings and everything, and they're going to use it in the show. But obviously, this is a teaser, so I think for me, I'm very happy with the teaser. It teases it. I would like to see more. I'm not like 100% convinced, but like I said earlier, I am intrigued by the show. I think the tone is interesting. I think it looks good. I like the relationship that they've got. And I am a Green Lantern fan from the comics. I would say probably more interested in the John Stewart side of things, just because I think I've always liked him. I remember like watching old like animated shows and stuff back in the day, and like John Stewart was like the main Green Lantern. I forgot, was it like Justice League Unlimited?
Both Justice League and Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah, I really liked him.
Kyle, you're muted.
Hal Jordan is in for 1 second.
And it's not even really Hal. It's just like a temporary rewritten timeline for a brief second. So, I want to if we can go back to Eddie's comment, because this is my issue. But again, first of all, everyone is entitled to their own opinion. I respect everyone's opinion. That's perfectly fine. The thing is that they're not. We're still following these like extraterrestrial superheroes, but through a grounded, again, mission, because this mission is all about like investigating this murder in the West, and again, also what people have been saying, because I was talking to some colleagues of mine today, Screen Rant, and it's fun that people forget that the green aura is not always there for Green Lantern in the comics. It's not like it that hasn't always been a consistent thing. So like the fact that people are saying, even if this wasn't finished, it's still kind of cool to see what Hal can do with his ring without having to like fully use it, because again, the whole purpose of having one of these is that they had to recharge their ring. So again, like I don't want them to just waste energy just for the sake of it, and then be like, oh shoot, I have to recharge the ring.
Guys, they're just energy conserving in the trailer. That's it.
Exactly. No, but for me, like I see this, we see things like the suit, we see Hal's ring, we see. I assume this is John holding the lantern, and again, like I like the fact that it's something different from what we've seen before in other live action versions, and again, it's like the fact that there is no set like like Kyle was saying, Supergirl is going to be heavily adapted of the Woman of Tomorrow comic book, but with this again, they're keeping the suspense under wraps, because this is a TV show, a weekly television show that we're going to tune in for, especially on HBO. Like, where again, like they build upon mysteries as one of their best selling points. So for me, like when I see something like for example with this suit,
there's other suits, if you've like, that's one of the
exactly. There are other suits. Yeah, but the thing
he's got his funeral attire, and
that's
very dark to have that next to his Green Lantern suit. But sure,
I meant like there's other green like somebody.
Yeah, that people were pointing out, weren't they?
Yeah, Ben, if you rack the brightness on that image, there are other Green Lantern suits, like in the suit bags.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing, that's one of the things that I think is so exciting, because again, like the fact that people were like, why is Kyle Chandler cast for this? Like, because he's a fucking awesome actor. I thought we would never.
He sells it in that interrogation scene. Like, it's not an argument. You're like, DC fans have like, and I don't even want to call them DC fans, honestly, because like if you grew up through, I'd say the 90s into, and I know this is ageist for some, or if have even bothered to expose yourself to the DC animated universe, the DC animated original films, any of the films, like the thing that James and everybody seem to be so important about is really feeling the tone of the character, not necessarily the experience they're having or the tone of the movie. Those things are important afterwards. And like, I think for me, I will say one of the things, I wouldn't say I was critical of it, but I had to rewire how I was thinking about the show was when they started cursing. I'm like, oh yeah, this is HBO.
It's HBO,
right?
Yeah.
It's HBO. And like, I'll just use this to hit back at the people. It's like, oh, it's not a Green Lantern show. There are Green Lanterns in the show. It is called Lanterns. Therefore, it is a Green Lantern show. Game of Thrones didn't episode 1 go, look, baby dragon. They had them. So it's like HBO's not cheaping out on this. This isn't Paramount Plus.
Which is
like
Paramount Plus shows, they look pretty all right. They do Star Trek shows, they look pretty all right. But the ring powers are on budget. But again, you haven't seen any of it
But
yet.
it's only a teaser trailer. Like,
Yeah.
2
we've
minutes of
got
footage.
so much
And
more to see.
And again, if Stargirl could do it on the CW in its second season, I promise you HBO for a show with a season 1 budget will do it just fine. Because at the end of the day, because I saw there was one person that I almost quote tweeted them to say like, "You're dumb," but they were like, you know, like they don't they you know, like, what if the superpowers don't look superpowery enough? I'm like, you know, this is fictional. Like, there is not like this doesn't actually exist in real life. So there's no like right way of what they're supposed to look like. Again, like it's green bright ass energy as constructs. They're not real. Like, you, of course, they can, depending on what you're creating, you can create like fists and cars, whatever you've seen Green Lanterns do in the past. But again, it's like it's
Race
supposed
tracks.
to.
Yeah.
Listen, that wasn't a bad plan. He got the car down, the plane down to safety.
Move the helicopter. Move the helicopter.
Either way, well, you know what? It was his first week being a Green Lantern. Like, again, like that movie is like, it isn't. That movie was tampered with by the executives because, like, if you know, there was original scripts for the Green Lantern movie that they were initially working on that where it was actually way better, but then they decided to hire some James Bond director who has no fucking idea what he's doing in this genre. So, and that's, like no respect to Martin Campbell, but like I don't think this was the right dude to do Green Lantern. But focusing on lanterns, again, the fact that
So you're gonna throw some Martin Campbell shade and just sidestep it, made arguably the best Bond film of all time and the best Zorro film. I will not take this Martin Campbell slander. Mask of Zorro is incredible.
Either way, the fact that because we're following a Hal that has been around for, he's a legend Green Lantern, the fact is that, yes, he's probably had many suits and many different looks and ideas. One of the things that I wanted to address with the whole brown part, so is that I think they added that because one, I think it's a story purpose of like, like he's evolved his look, but two, I think practically when they then add the VFX brighting, it's going to blend in well with the with the brown, green aesthetic. And that's the thing, like all the Green Lantern costumes in the comics have always had like their own unique looks. Like I think people always assume that Peter, thank you so much for the 2-pound super chat. And I'm glad you like our takes, but it's okay. It's okay to also disagree. It's absolutely okay to disagree.
But some of you are wrong.
Yes.
Well,
also,
yes.
Just on what you were saying there, that suit isn't necessarily like Kyle was saying, like there is a bunch of suits in the closet. That's just one they're showing us, right? That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be wearing this kind of sort of like brownish suit the whole time. And like you said, Andy, like it could be with like added VFX and stuff, and it like brightens it up and it looks good. So we don't even know if that's the suit he's going to wear. That's just what they've shown us in the trailer in one shot. So we haven't even seen it on him yet. So we don't even know if that's his suit because he's got multiple. And maybe it's just there to prove that's a worn old suit that has been previously used a lot because we know he is an experienced Green Lantern.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, because like one of the issues people had with the film was the fact that it was not a practical suit; it was an all CGI suit. So I like the fact, okay, if y'all want a practical suit, you have to remember that they get destroyed, ruined, dirty, and the longer you wear them, like again, and the fact is that I like the fact that it wasn't some sort of like, oh, he has like big mansion with every suit like on that like a freaking display or something like that. He's kind of like. He's on like it's almost kind of like he's on a road trip constantly.
He's Hal Jordan. He's not Bruce Wayne.
No, but that's the thing. Look, I'm not saying that, but I think what people are expecting these days, and honestly, I think this is honestly the MCU's fault, is that because of how many different things they do with when it comes to costumes and story setup and whatnot, they think that everything superhero needs to be like the MCU, and it's like, no, the MCU has fumbled so much over the last couple of years, and I like the fact that this is again something different. Like one of the things that I found, like if we're using. I thought this made way more sense that he has suits hanging in the closet than Matt Murdock having a freaking display of cowls and suits, and I'm like, when did you get your own Daredevil cape? Like, that's not.
It's called Hell's Kitchen. It's quite literally where he lives.
Yeah, but again, like it was like, oh, like he has like this like secret room, and it's all like on like displays and what. I'm like, you're not Tony Stark. You're
You
not
don't
like
have the Arrow Cave or Star Labs. Or...
The Quiver,
Exactly.
wasn't it? What was it? Was it called the Quiver, Andy, officially?
Not on
No.
an Arrow, but not an Arrow, but they wanted to call it. I mean, I know in the Injustice comic, Harley Quinn made fun of Green Arrow. Like, why didn't you just call it the Quiver? And Oliver goes, yeah, that's actually a good point. I want to take you go through a little bit the mysteries before, because I know Kyle has to get going, sadly. But I kind of want to just get your take at least on this. Is that so throughout this trailer we see that, you know, like as they're investigating, we see, you know, that there's something off about this town. Something like, again, they're investigating. It's almost giving like a cult vibe.
Weapons. Have you guys seen Weapons, the film?
Oh, I loved Weapons, Ben.
Yeah. Do you know
So
the
good.
scene with the community? Like
Yep.
that's what that shot reminds me of.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, like I think that, because one of the things that I want to bring up that I got reminded on Twitter. So this actor,
I recognize that.
yeah, Paul Ben Victor, he is supposedly playing an alien, according to Deadline. His name is Anton, an extraterrestrial devoted to exposing the truth and exacting vengeance against those who wronged his people. So again, people are saying that it's just humans. Again, like aliens
So
can
he's-
shapeshift.
Exactly.
and
He's extraterrestrial.
Sinestro is also going to be in the show.
Exactly.
I mean, I made a joke in jest, but I mean, to Ben's point, if I were to bet, and I like to gamble here and there, the Green Lantern of the future of the DCU and maybe the near future is going to be Aaron Pierre.
Yeah.
So the likelihood that Hal is around for a long time, I think, is low.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Well, let's not be pessimistic.
I'm not being pessimistic. No,
because the last year and a half, all I've been hearing is people going like, "Well, he's gonna die. He's gonna die in this show," and I'm like,
well, he doesn't have to die, but he can retire.
He doesn't exactly. He's been a Lantern for a long time,
and he's the only
training
human.
him up.
Yeah. And that's because Guy Gardner is a monster and not a human being. And Chip exists. That's the best part of the trailer.
This is a fucking squirrel.
Uh-huh.
I love that.
Why no one yet has clipped that with the squirrel that
From
Superman saves? I'm disappointed in you, internet. Be better.
It would be kind of funny that, because I remember like when that shot of the squirrel from Superman, you know, became public to everyone, people was like, "Oh my god, watch this be, you know, the Chip setup," and I'm like, y'all, like there's squirrels, like there's more than one squirrel in this world, like y'all need to calm down.
What if, and then I will leave you, lovely two gentlemen, to discuss it. Here's my question / a hope of mine now. We discussed for a long time that this was likely going to be the following HBO show after A Night of Nine Kingdoms, right? Because of the hole in the release schedule. What if there's a Chip cameo in Supergirl World of Tomorrow? Or Supergirl. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, now just called Supergirl. What if they just moved it because of that cameo? And so
no, they didn't just move it because of that. Like
we don't know. Have you seen the movie, Andy?
I haven't seen the movie. No. You haven't seen the movie either, Ben. What the fuck? Like, no, but you have not. First of all, you're like, they're not even doing screenings yet. Secondly, just to move a film for a squirrel's cameo, like Kyle, because like it would make more sense.
That makes sense.
If Hal has like a cameo, like flying through space, you know, space or something, that makes more sense. But like, Kyle, don't be so extra. Like, it's not gonna be. They didn't move the show for a squirrel's cameo in a theatrical film. He's clearly talking to his daughters. So Kyle, I'm figuring you need to get going. So but thank you for joining us and sharing your thoughts.
Time?
I think it is dinner time. It's not dinner time.
Isn't it? I'm getting mixed messages. Are you sure?
She's marketing like an HBO show.
Is it dinner? It's not dinner time. No, I'm obviously sorry. I'm joking. I really don't think that's going to happen, but he is such an obscure character. Ultimately, okay, so this is I'm going to be talking about out of both sides of my mouth. I need you to stay over there. You're not going on camera. That do you want to say hello really loud?
We're all hello.
He's very happy. You're happy about that now? Yes. That
That's why you do a cameo.
Yes, I did. I enjoyed a substantial amount of elements from the DCEU, but it's dead. And now with the DCU, I think the optimism is, for one, we have a creative voice and somebody who's actually going to put money behind this. Like the shared unity of Peter Safran and James Gunn so far seems to be making sense. I'd say they're batting 2 for 3. Andy, obviously, you know which one was not good in my opinion so far in the DCU.
What, Creature Commandos?
No, I loved Creature Commandos.
You know, like
season 2.
No.
Oh, Peacemaker.
Yeah, Peacemaker season 2. Yeah. Well, Ben, you shouldn't remember it. It's bad. But overall, the optimism behind the people involved with these shows, taking these things seriously, but also not being afraid to make fun of yourself. And on the flip side of that, like it's impossible to talk about this stuff without talking about Marvel. That there was a balance to how they did that in the Infinity Saga. That was one of the things people loved. It is ridiculous that you have the space cops and one of them is a planet and one of them is a squirrel. Like it is absolutely ridiculous. And I think what I'm most excited about is getting to finally see a Green Lantern thing. And because it's been a decade and a half. And as one of the pillars of the DCU, and Andy, we talked about this, I'm pumped we're getting 2 Kryptonian stories in the next set of the Superman saga. But we're finally getting another piece of the pillars to eventually get to a Justice League, which as a longtime DC fan, that's the thing I want. So if we have to do this as a TV show, because this is essentially the pilot project for that part of the 7, Unite the 7, then that's fine with me. People wanting to just nitpick because it's easier, go ahead, don't enjoy this stuff. You can be critical of something when the shows come out and you've seen all 8 hours. We've seen 2 minutes of, I'm guessing, the first 2 episodes at max because of the way that it's structured. But Green Lantern finally getting his day, that to me is the most exciting part. And it's an HBO show. This isn't HBO Max. This is going to be Sundays at 9 p.m. So if you're going to be grumpy about it, don't watch it. More for me.
Bang on.
And on that note, enjoy dinner.
I will. It's in Parm.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Nice.
See you on the next one, Kyle.
Do you want to say bye?
Yeah, do you want to say bye?
You don't want to say bye? No. He does not want to say bye.
That's okay. Dinner's more important.
Let's say bye.
Bye, Ben. It was nice to meet you. Andy, we'll chat.
Sure. See you.
Let's go through some of the comments.
We got a lot of comments.
Yeah, we have a lot. You see, well, this is why I knew it was gonna be a good idea to do a cross promotion, because now we have so many audiences tuning in. Let's go with some of the comments. Back in the days, people complained about the CGI too bright suit at Ryan's movie, and now cause not enough green. Exactly, like people will never be happy. There you go. Also, not necessarily just not shown on 2-minute trailers. Many shows leave a lot of things out in first trailers. Exactly.
It's just normal.
It's almost it's cold. It's almost like it's called. I think there's a
trailer.
word.
It's not even the trailer. It's the teaser trailer.
Exactly. Like even like even the Supergirl teaser trailer. Like yes, it gives you. We do see a lot. But it doesn't tease. It doesn't show you that much. Really,
yeah. Like we haven't even had the real Supergirl trailer yet. Like we're still gonna see more. So
exactly. So, let's see what else people are saying. Mind the Gap, good to see you. It's been a while. I'm a little more skeptical of this show, and the trailer made me more skeptical, and that's fair. That's fair. I just think that it's good that people at least like they will tune in, because again, 2 minutes, and that's the thing. I feel sometimes terrible for people who work in marketing, because like cutting trailers and distributing it and kind of selling it to as many divisions as possible, it's tricky. Nathan Bell says, "I'm back. Sorry, I was walking home from work. So when we talk about old Hal and Young Justice season 3 or 4, Hal was there and he was older, like gray hair and everything. Yeah. So do you like they've done like doesn't mean as Hal makes it clear in the trailer, they're human. They do age. Like again, I don't need every hero in the DCU to start as like young and just getting started. Like again, like that's what there needs. I like the sense of legacy, and and I think the thing is, who is to say that we won't see flashbacks down the line of what Hal's days as a Green Lantern look like in his, if you want to say prime, even though I don't even think Cal Jenner looks old or anything like that. People are acting like he's like ancient. And I'm like, no, he's like in his 50s.
Yeah, I mean, he's not that old, but he's a decent gap from who he's training, I guess.
Eddie says, the trailer looks good for an HBO show. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like any other murder mystery show. Yeah, and like, that's fair. And I think that the reason they did this, the reason that they took Green Lantern and decided, for our, again, the whole purpose with the Green Lanterns, the human Green Lantern is that they are supposed to protect Earth. So they're not just always in space, they are supposed to be on Earth as well. So the fact that they do it with a murder mysteries, again, that's a genre right now that is selling really, really well. Like when one of the things that I do as screenwriter, I cover a lot of streaming reports and what's trending, what's doing well. A lot of it is murder and mystery dramas.
Yeah,
and the fact
that it's intriguing. It's an interesting genre where it's a good crossover between like superhero stuff and a genre that is very popular, and it's it doesn't feel like, let's say, I don't know, what's the comparison, like an MCU show or like a CW show, maybe most similar is Superman Lois, but
yeah, well, like if you think about like you mentioned MCU shows, like for example, like Miss Marvel, which again, some people might say that that's a very odd comparison, but again, like, let's look at it. It has to do with a mutant who she discovers her powers. But again, throughout the whole show, the show is very human. She's going up against other people who have powers like her. But again, it's like we're never in space. That's the whole thing with comic books, that these extraordinary things that we don't think could happen or don't exist in real life, they can come to any world in fiction, and that means Earth. Like there's a reason why races from other planets target our world mostly. Our world, their Earth in comics. I'm not one of those like, oh my god, I think there's threats coming. I'm not one of those people. But what I'm saying is that there's always something appealing about Earth, and there's a reason why. Again, because the fact that an alien is taking human form in this trailer, like there has to be a reason for it, because they're trying. There could be other alien races that they're fighting against. There's been some fears about that that Red Lanterns could be involved or whatnot, and that's one of the clever things of why they're calling the show just Lanterns. Like
exactly, it's not just Green Lantern; it could be multiple lanterns, and I think Red Lanterns are really far more interesting than Sinestro. If I'm being honest, I've seen him so many times, so I'm like, give me something else.
That's a hot take, but we love it because we're okay with everyone having their own opinions.
I've seen it so many times. Give me something new.
Wait, we had Sinestro in one live action movie.
I've seen him in the comics and everything, like all Green Lantern mediums. I've seen him a lot. So.
Another comment I wanted to bring up, Ed, from Nathan Bell. Also, like with the Flash, where we see Barry outside of the Flash, we see him at work with family, only using his power when he needs to. It could be the same here. They're using their rings at points, exactly, and that's the whole thing. Because again, like unlike the MCU, like not everyone's secret identity is going to be out there. So again, like the fact that they're not just like running around with their powers all the time, like I think there's like none of this feels random to me. Nathan brings up another good point about what they could do with Hal in the future. Hal could decide to become the leader of the military. He was a pilot before being a Green Lantern, or could even becoming a human guardian. So he personally chosen a new candidate. That could also be it. Like that's the thing. I like the fact that this doesn't feel in any way at all like the Ryan Reynolds movie. It doesn't feel like not even like one of my like what's people were talking about. We didn't see Nathan Fillion, but we know that he's been confirmed that he's going to be in the show with Guy Gardner again. His Green Lantern, his Hal Jordan is the one that I got exposed to the most through the animated stuff. But even this feels like it's a different thing, and I am glad it is because I don't want to see just a repeat of things all the time. So, and BW says, and I think this was to Kyle's point, yeah, the Justice League we need, but we also need a story arc showing the Legion of Doom coming together, which, again, we will get there. Again, this is, the DCU began over a year and a half ago. Like we, again, like
we've only had three projects. So
yeah, and if you want to see those things happen, you need to show up at the theaters. You need to show up at HBO when these things premiere and at HBO Max, because that's the thing. The reason the DCU died was because audience stopped going. Nobody cared anymore. But now there's a plan. Despite the paramount of it all, because we will see what happens with that. DC Studios is its own thing, and there's a build up to it. Again, if you want these things, you have to show that you're actually interested. But just sitting on Twitter and saying, I want to see these things, that's not going to get you a long, game DCU plan. That's not how it works. You have to, because these properties are dependent on money, revenue, commercial success. I hate to be the messenger of bad news, but people like me and Ben, we cover it. We cover it as journalists because we love art, because we love storytelling. Hollywood makes these things Hollywood executives greenlight these things because they want money. Like they don't care. They don't care the fact that that there's people who are angry that there's a brown part of the Green Lantern costume. They're happy that people are talking about it, that they're getting free marketing because that's how marketing works. So. Nathan says, Kyle, if you listen to this later, Kyle is the voice of us fans who just want to enjoy the films and shows. Haha, exactly. Like some people are just, they're nitpicking these days. Like I think people just like they know that hate gets more buzz online. That's why there's so many shitty YouTube channels out there that are they're doing like negative coverage of content because they know that's gonna get them the views. And Wamba says, James has said over and over that every DCU project is not going to have the same tone. Plus, comic fans have way too much high expectation. Plus, this is still chapter 1 of the DCU. Exactly.
But that's one of the things that I like the best from the trailer. It feels different. I like that. That's the unique thing about DC. They don't try and make everything the same. We've not really ever tried to make everything the same. Obviously when it's the same director, it's similar, but overall it feels different. Every project has its own identity, and I like that. And I don't like what they do in the MCU and the fact that it's also like it feels like the same director could have directed most of the films.
Well, that's what Ben just said was something that was highlighted in phase 2 of the MCU, that almost every project felt like it was the same tone, same aesthetic, same vibe. And even there were points even in phase 3 when people were kind of like, they could barely tell some projects apart from each other, which is true. And that's why there's been so much damage control now happening in the MCU, because people are realizing that people at Marvel are realizing that people are not interested in seeing the same thing over and over and over again. I think this would be cool if Aaron's Lantern could appear in a Man of Tomorrow movie. I wouldn't be shocked if that is something that happens. And we know they're gonna start filming next month, I think. So we will see. I'm also sick to, and Wamba says in the chat, I'm also sick to death of people trying to compare the DC to the MCU and the 2011 movie, namely with the Lantern show. And people need to be saying it online that they need to fire James Gunn and Peter. Yeah, that's, again, people are just criticizing, again, people who don't even have film degrees or have never worked in television. They're the ones saying how things should be. I'm like, no, you guys don't know how it works. Even me, one of the things that I brought up, as during my my time hosting the Flash podcast, I got to know a lot of the writers, some of the actors, some of the people who work on set on the Flash, and a lot of the other Arrowverse shows. And I would say maybe at most I understand like I have maybe a 20% better understanding of like how hard that work is, but I still don't have a full grasp on it because there are so many factors. It's not just here's $200 million, go make a TV show. That's like it's so more complicated than that. And with Lanterns,
Yeah.
again, like yes, the fact that they're notice how the fact that Lanterns gets HBO treatment, but something like Peacemaker, that that's the one that we keep on HBO Max. But again, but then also let's look at some of the past comic book projects that we've seen on HBO. Watchmen by Damon Lindelof, who is part of Lanterns.
Yeah.
Like Watchmen was fucking amazing. They're now working on a V for Vendetta reboot TV show on HBO. Like again, like they're prestige television. Like like not everything gets to be called prestige television, and unless it's worthy of it. And Lanterns is clearly worthy of it. And again, you will still have superpowers. This is again like you have someone like Guy Gardner coming into the show. He's gonna be sharing scenes with these other Green Lanterns, and it's gonna be so freaking funny because again, because Guy Gardner is such a wild card compared to the two of them. So, yeah, I'm like there's again, and we've just started marketing for Lanterns. Again, there's still so much. There's so much else that they can show us, but I also hope that they're not going to show us because I don't want to get spoiled. I don't want them to just lay out like, yeah, Peril is coming, or there's these other Lanterns again. Like the fact that we don't even know what this other alien kid look like who's in human form right now.
Yeah,
that's exciting because he could be anyone. He could be any alien. What if he's a Martian? What if he is a white Martian? What if he is a different Lantern species? Who knows? Anything is possible. And again, I think the fact that murder mystery sells really, really well right now, and I think that that's why they decided, let's try and make it work within the superhero genre. And that's also something different because like Marvel hasn't really done a lot of murder mystery shows or movies, because like Daredevil, like that, that's about like fighting corruption and politics, and
maybe the closest is like WandaVision. It's kind of a mystery, not a murder mystery, but
yeah,
like a mystery show. As things unravel, she has to discover her reality. I guess that was cool. I really love. That's my favorite Marvel show, like MCU show.
Yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite MCU shows, and that's because again, like and there's a reason why WandaVision set such a high standard for MCU TV shows from Disney Plus, because we had 9 weeks of television of what is this what is this world that Wanda has created, and again, in this case, we're gonna see why John and Hal, first of all, how they get together, and why they're investigating this murder in the American heartland, and that the synopsis talks about. John says, I think Hal didn't say Guy because he hates him or doesn't consider him real Lantern because he's corporate. See? And that can show you the fact that Hal could, again, I would love to hear Hal's perspective on what does he think about superheroes? Like what does he think about someone like Superman? Or what does he think about the fact that Hal, that Guy Gardner works for Maxwell Lord, gets paid to be a superhero, gets paid to save people when, you should be saving people because it's the right thing to do, not because you want money. So again, that's another interesting thing that we can explore for the show, because I don't know. It's just weird that people have gotten to this point that no one is patient anymore. I remember when we back in the day, when The Flash was still airing. Again, this was back, back in my days. No, but back in 2014 when this was on, broadcast network television, 22 episodes a season, we knew that the man who murdered Barry Allen's mother is a huge mystery. Who was that? Who is Reverse Flash? Who is actually playing him? Where is he at this point? But also, again, we see the other aspects of Barry's life, his team, his love for Iris, and again with something like Lanterns. Again, because even I think some of the directors have spoken out about that. The first couple episodes kind of sets you up for very Earth-based, Earthbound, but then we start getting into the more cosmic stuff. And again, it's that I think that by giving it some time to breathe, I think that's where they're learning their mistakes from that they did with the Green Lantern movie, was that I think that's why the movie was set on Earth so much, because they were trying to sell this concept to an audience who have never read a Green Lantern comic in their whole life. But because I remember even when, you know, Ben, I'm sure you remember this, that they were trying to do a Green Lantern show with Greg Berlanti. You know,
Yeah.
there was going to be, you know, Alan Scott, you know, Guy Gardner, Simon Baz, Jessica Cruz, Sinestro, and it was going to be spread over all these time periods and stuff like that. In theory, it sounds cool, but as years have gone by and the show never happened, you kind of feel like, you know what? Yeah, that probably would have been a little bit too much of a sell. But if we're gonna do it as a TV show, see, there would be time to at least develop it, flesh it out. We didn't get it. We're now getting lanterns. That now that will have time to do it. So for me,
Okay.
go on.
Yeah, I just feel like grounding the show is almost the right thing to do, especially after that Green Lantern film, because we haven't really focused on Green Lantern in a long time. And by making something different and reintroducing Green Lantern to a hopefully big audience, it's something different. You don't want to be too cosmic like Ryan Reynolds' version was, too bright, too bold. Like you want it to be a bit more subtle because you're trying to reintroduce the characters. And then obviously we've seen Green Lantern or a version, Guy Gardner and Superman. We can get into those kind of crazy Green Lanterns later down the line, you know, like the Squirrel and stuff like that. And yeah, so I think this is a good step that they've taken for sure.
Yeah. And as we get ready to wrap up, again, it's a you know, I like the fact that we're, because I've gotten sick and tired of the binge era. Like, I like the fact
Yeah.
where, like, that most streaming shows are kind of like leaning more into, like, yeah, we will drop 2 or 3 episodes the first week, and then we do weekly releases. But I like the fact that we're gonna, this will be things we can talk about on a weekly basis. I'm sure Ben is going to be doing videos on it. We will be covering, the Lanterns podcast here on these Jewish podcast is going to be a thing, and we're going to have, theories and discussions all the time about, things that we learn about the show, and like what's, the reactions that come out of it, and how this changes DC as a whole. And that's the thing, like, even though like this will have ramifications for the DCU, this is still its own thing. Like, that's the thing, that these parties need to stand on their own. Like, Supergirl will stand on her own because it's a Supergirl movie. Like, again, like, it's not gonna, like, let's say it won't happen, but like, let's say if Supergirl were to flop at the box office or something, it's not gonna mean the end of the DCU.
Yeah,
that's not like that's. And there's some people in the chat discussing about Nathan Fillion. There's not been any confirmation that he's gonna be in every episode. But I think he's going to be at least like a recurring guest star. So
yeah, probably recurring.
yeah. But yeah, we know that the show will premiere in August. So it will be 2 months after Supergirl, which will be great. And then in October we're gonna have Clayface. I like the fact we're spacing these things out a bit. But Ben, any final thoughts on the Lanterns trailer?
No, not on the trailer, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good year for the DCU. Supergirl first, then Lanterns, then Clayface. They're all different. It's going to be a good taster for what's to come, because all the DC projects are going to be quite different, and I think we're going to finally get like a bit of a grasp of like what's the greater story they're trying to tell, and what are we trying to build towards. Like, I don't think we're gonna get like any definitive answers in these projects, but it's like it's a start, start to introduce more characters and stuff.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say other than the trailer did what it was supposed to. HBO, just don't make the next one leak, because good lord, that was so exhausting. Because like, it's even funny the fact that no, like the first day nobody I knew talked about it, and then the next day they announced that, oh, the trailer comes tomorrow. But then people are like, well, that's because the trailer leaked yesterday, and then eventually they did release the trailer.
Yeah,
so
I just got like a bunch of emails being like, yeah, HBO Max's Green Lantern's trailer released early. I'm like, okay. Yeah, I saw it, but I kind of did expect them to release it early just based on all the leaks, but yeah.
Yeah, but Ben, plug away before I do mine, and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah, just thanks for watching, guys. Obviously this has been, like a joint live stream. Shout out to everyone that's been commenting throughout the stream. I see Ape Shit, Johnny Dome, Fede, everyone, Nathan. Shout out to all of you that has been here throughout the stream. But yeah, follow me at Ben's Take on YouTube, at the DC TV Show on Twitter, and we're going to cover all things DC.
You can find me at Adam Bagd on all things social media. You can find me at Screen Rant as a senior writer for all things TV and film news entertainment. I'm also the editor-in-chief of Multiverse of Color, which Ben is one of the great parts of. So check out his coverage, my cover. Kyle does a lot of things as well, and our amazing team. We have we're doing CinemaCon next month, so we have that. So we have this, 2026 is getting more exciting. But yeah, this was fun. Hopefully we'll do something more soon again. And people who subscribe to Ben's channel, subscribe to our channels. Links are in the show notes in both videos. But yeah, hope you're excited for Lanterns. If you have more thoughts, leave comments below on either of our videos, and we will see you on the next one. So have a good night and see you soon.
See ya.